right now, well, first off, I want to say, I love every one of you for being here. I seriously do. Thank you. I appreciate the fact that you're even here. I live on the street, we all got homeless shit to do sometimes, and it gets kind of difficult. Thank you for being here. We need you. We really need you. This is Right to Rest kickoff, 2017 kickoff, and how to get involved. We got all kinds of stuff you can do. If you really want to make this happen, we really need your help. We all want to make it happen. Everybody else who wants to make it happen, please get involved, okay?
Okay.
Okay! All right, I'm just going to read these off so you know what we're doing. All right? Some of you might already know it. I just want to make sure everybody knows what's going on. I don't read real well, so these are what the bill consists of right now. The Act, the Right to Rest Act. The right to use and move freely in public places. The right to rest in public spaces and protect oneself from the elements in a manner that does not obstruct the use or access to private property. The right to eat, share, accept, or give food in public spaces where food is not prohibited. The right to occupy a person's own motor vehicle or occupy a motor vehicle with the owner's permission, provided that the motor vehicle is legally parked on public property or parked on private property with permission of the property owner, and the right to a reasonable expectation of privacy in one's personal property in public spaces to the same extent as personal property in a private residence or other private places. Can we get an amen? Okay, next up is Marcus.
So my job is to talk a little bit about history, how we got here, and why this bill is important. So this is important because when we talk about homelessness, when we talk about solutions, when we talk about criminalization, the right to rest, there's a shit ton of jargon floating around, and we have to tell our own narrative, right? And we have to look throughout history and know why we're here, why we need what we need today, which is the right to rest. So I have three main points. One, it wasn't always like this. Two, intersectionality, how this relates to other struggles. And three, how we got to this bill. So most people, when they talk about homelessness, they talk about it as if it's always been around. We have to reframe that conversation because 1983 was the first time our federal government had a policy to do with homelessness. We've always had homelessness on a certain level in this country, just like we've always had racism, just like we've always had sexism, xenophobia, right? But 1983 is when we started building shelters all across this country. And that correlates directly to a 77% cut in housing dollars for affordable housing. So when we talk about why homelessness exists, if you're homeless, you might have your own personal story, and that's valid. And there's 3.5 million people who experience homelessness every year in America, and therefore there's 3.5 million reasons why people are homeless, right? But the overlying problem is the lack of affordable housing, and the lack of good jobs, the lack of good education, all the same shit that helps us combat poverty is the same shit that's going to help us end homelessness, right? Because between 1940 and 1980, we didn't have hundreds of thousands of homeless people on the streets. Why? Because in the 1920s, people organized, got in rooms together like this, talked about their own problems, and then organized the shit out of their movements and convinced politicians we have to do something about this, right? politicians didn't willingly just give us affordable housing at the end of the Great Depression, right? We had to fight for that. And so the same thing needs to happen today, right? And just to underline that point, 1980s is when we started the whole narrative of people being homeless by choice, right? Ronald Reagan gets on Good Morning America and he says, oh, those people choose to be homeless. And that's dictated our public narrative around homelessness since then. But prior to the 1980s, we had people who were lazy, we had people who were underemployed, we had people with mental health issues, and we sure as hell had people who were addicted to drugs before the 1980s. But the thing that we had was housing, right? So if we're going to combat this, we don't need to come up with new solutions. What we need to come up with is housing and the political will to actually get housing at an adequate scale. And the first thing that needs to happen in order for us to get that political will is to end criminalization, right? We're never going to end homelessness if we think the answer to homelessness is calling the cops. And we need to keep reframing that discussion. So anytime legislators or whoever the hell says, we're connecting you to services, and therefore we can take away your rights, therefore we can strip sleeping bags off of you while you're sleeping, that's horseshit. And we need to call it where it's at. We need to tell them what time it is. Because that's a lethal trade-off. The other thing we need to recognize is that this is just an extension of the racism, of the classism that has been prevalent in our society since this nation started. And so in the 1980s, when criminalization started happening on a rapid scale of homeless people, that was after a long history of Anti-Okie laws, Jim Crow laws, Operation Wetback, whatever you want to call it, ugly laws, laws that in Colorado Springs we have history of people going to jail for being disabled in public, right? And we found that unconstitutional. And the last one of those laws was found unconstitutional in the 50s, but they're rearing their head back up. And we know it's the same crap. Throughout history, local government uses local ordinances to ban people that they don't like out of public space. And why this is important to talk about, this legacy of racism, classism, is because this isn't just about us, right? It's not just about homeless people who need rights. This law is making sure that government can't do this to any community. No community gets to be banned from public spaces. Not disabled people, not black people, not immigrants. No, we have to stand up as a unified voice. So I hope I'm making that clear enough. So the other part, how we got to this bill, Denver Homeless Out Loud and some other organizations that we work with here in Colorado are committed to street outreach, right? Denver Homeless Out Loud is a member organization of Western Regional Advocacy Project, which is a badass group of folks that organize in California, Oregon, the entire West Coast, and Colorado. And as being a member of Western Regional Advocacy Project, RAP is what we usually say, so I don't have to mumble that. As being a member of RAP, we have a commitment that if we're going to speak on behalf of homeless folks, then we damn well be accountable to homeless folks. So again, you might have your individual story, but when we get up and we speak and we use a we, there better be a we behind that, right? That's why we aren't talking about my individual story, why I was homeless for a few years, or Ray's individual story. We're talking about things that happen to us over and over again as a community. And the things that we see when we do outreach, this bill came out of 1,500 interviews across 3 states, and locally here we did over 500 interviews? 431 interviews with homeless folks. And the things that we keep seeing is, one, we're losing our housing, right? Our, through HUD 6, through the new rental demonstration program, through all these different government programs that keep tearing down public housing, giving us these vouchers that we can't use anywhere because no landlord's willing, and we're not rebuilding on an adequate scale, right? So we're out on the street, and once we're out on the street, we're told, you can't sit here, you can't share food, you can't hang out without money. That's called loitering. So the only mode of operation you have is to walk, right? So we're recreating a sundown town, right? So we've seen this before, and we see through these outreach that is happening through camping bans, through Sit Live, through bans on sharing food, right? So that's where this bill came from, is these rights are specifically things that people said that they're being targeted for. Law schools, we're working with University of Colorado Denver, we're working with lawyers in California, and we've come up with research that shows that it's cheaper, it's way cheaper to freaking give people housing, do the compassionate thing, right? Than just to keep us on the street, to cycle us through shelters, and then expect us to go to the emergency room every time we have a health crisis because we're not receiving adequate health care. And then we wind up in jail because someone in one of these apartment buildings calls the cops on us for hanging out outside, where public housing used to be and it got torn down, right? So that's where this bill came from. We've got the same bill in 3 different states. California's not running this year, they're running a different bill, but they'll be coming back. Oregon is running this year, and we're coming back for the 3rd year. And it's the same bill that we're running, right? Because we're seeing this in communities in Fort Collins, we're seeing this in Colorado Springs, in Pueblo, in Colorado, in Portland, in Los Angeles, all over this country. Cops have become the answer to homelessness, and obviously it's not improving. So, first year, we had a 3 to 8 vote, is that right? So we lost pretty bad, right? Last year, we got 5 to 6, right? So we were 1 vote away from getting it out of committee. So no bill with any amount of significance that I know of has ever passed on the first run, right? It never passed without a struggle. So we're coming back stronger than ever, right? So that's what we're up against this year, is we're coming back and we're saying, listen, we told you this 3 years ago, maybe now you'll finally listen. Maybe now, after every freaking policy expert having to do with homelessness has confirmed that criminalization is ineffective, it's inhumane, it's unconstitutional. The Department of Justice has said that the camping ban is a violation of your 8th Amendment rights, right? And it's expensive.
We're being bullied.
Right. So we're coming back stronger.